It's the podcast that shakes and stirs up pharmacy. Welcome to PBM on the Rocks.
Hey, everybody. Cheers.
Hey.
Yeah. How was y'all's day?
Woo.
Lauren, I feel like you've got a story to tell.
No, just the fun owning a pharmacy stuff. All the fun.
Yeah. It's been interesting. I dropped those FTC comments earlier, and I've gotten a lot of good feedback on it, so that was fun. I practiced the hell out of it, wrote the hell out of it to condense it all in 2 minutes, and I'm glad it came off okay. I was happy with it.
You were great.
You did great. You know, one thing that I really was impressed about is there were so many people talking about pharmacy benefit managers, and I was even more impressed. Huge shout out to the Minnesota Farmers Union. They get it, just like the small grocers get it. Like everything that's happening in pharmacy, you know, these small grocers are facing it, have faced it. The farmers unions have faced it. And hey,
Joe's come to join us.
Oh, welcome.
How you doing, Joe?
Hey.
Hi, y'all.
Hey, man. Do we have any news on that language?
Language is still pending in the budget, whatever bill, but they screwed around all night and didn't pass anything related to healthcare last night.
Yeah.
what?
Yep, they were up all night, I think, just drinking at the State House.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be fun, but I mean, there's actual shit to do. That's what Mark was telling me earlier. I was hoping we'd at least have some kind of news by now.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
waiting
that's
for
the news, my friend.
Yeah. And for everyone that don't know, they've got language introduced into the budget in Massachusetts about fee for service under the MCO and getting them their dispensing fees. And it's been introduced into the budget, and they're trying to make sure it goes through in the final version. And everyone's been in limbo for like 2 days. We thought this would be like a one-day pressure campaign, and it just keeps going because nothing's passed.
Yeah, they're supposedly gonna, they're probably gonna be on break all of August, and then supposedly, according to the speaker, they're gonna take up the healthcare bills again in informal session sometime after that. Who knows when or if they'll actually follow through on that. It could just be, blowing smoke here.
Well, you're applying pressure right back. You all are really good with that. From what I'm hearing, certain people are telling other people to back off. That's how you know you're getting it done.
and as soon as I heard that from Mike, I went and shared his post and reattached all the people that he had tagged to begin with. I'm sorry. Was that too much pressure? Here you go again.
Yep. You got to double down on those things. And that's what, a lot of people do not get.
It's like, we hit the sore spot. Keep pressing then.
Yep.
Exactly.
Social media is powerful. And I'm glad that the pharmacy community is waking up to that, because we can put pressure on them. We can put it on in big ways. And it's good to see you all doing that.
Well, my problem here is that I've been trying to tell my esteemed colleagues here for the good part of 5-6 years that the only way we're going to get anywhere is with a PR war campaign.
Yes.
That's
You
right.
gotta take it to the press. Nobody cares what we think. Once it gets it to the press and the public is the outcry, that's when shit's gonna happen.
Yep.
You got that right.
We can't play nice anymore. We can't do traditional shit anymore. We can't rely on just our lobbying and just our nice words and just our handshakes with lawmakers and attachments and
they're a bunch
all the
of
streams.
scam artists.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got to do it ourselves, and we got to shame people on social media, and we got to put fucking pressure on, because that's how we're getting shit done. Not by going through traditional channels. It's by pressuring them on social media, getting people involved, getting the communities involved, and pressuring everywhere. Find the sore spots, like you were saying, Joe, and just press it relentlessly.
Exactly. I mean, what is the issue here? There is no issue. You're not saving any money. This is money you're already paying to the MCOs. The only people it's bothering is those MCOs. It's not like it's going to cost the state any more money.
You're exactly right. That's what I've said so many times. I'm like, the money is already there. It's just not being passed to where it was intended to be passed to.
Exactly. And it's not like they're paying us fairly on the drugs themselves. We're getting, double screwed. We're getting underpaid on the meds, and we're losing that fee.
Yeah. And they're making bank while they're doing it. It's complete bullshit, and those were fees that were meant for pharmacies, and the MCOs, they're pocketing them, and it's criminal. It is. It's theft. It's not meant for them, and they're just not passing along. And lawmakers just shrug their shoulders like, well, and then Medicaid offices don't care. DMAS over here, they're just like, well, I mean, and we're putting pressure on them too in Virginia. We've got a lot of things that we're working on, and we're going to be fucking relentless with it too, because I'm involved now.
Well,
so
my
we're not
thing
just
is
going to rest on it.
Today they came out and, they reached out back channels through Todd to tell Mike to back off, that they're working on something and we're going to see something soon. They've been saying this for at least 6 months, if not a year.
Yep.
And they can do this in a memo tomorrow.
Exactly.
One memo goes to the MCO, hey, start paying now. Effective immediately.
And how many pharmacies do they save? And it doesn't cost the government any money. They're just making the MCOs pay.
I'm really beginning to think that we're going to have to start sending in open records requests to these state-funded programs, because, depending on the state law, they have to release this information. And wouldn't it be great if we could start figuring out what these conversations are in the background that are happening that put a stop to these, these bills that we know are good, because, there's conversations happening, and I want to know what those are.
Yeah. We need to plant more of our people up there. Like, we need more of our people running for office, being in these conversations, because we need to know what's going on. Everyone else seems to know what's going on, but they leave us in the fucking dark.
Well, we have one of our colleagues here just jumped in as a write-in ballot to run for representative in his district, but I don't think he's gotten a lot of support so far.
Excellent.
That's great.
Kind of late to the game to decide to run, really. But
Yeah.
It's okay though. At least he's doing it right. And I think to everybody's point here, those conversations, at least in the past, they've always been along the lines of, at least here the ones I've been involved in, they bring the stakeholders together and they're like, okay, let's sit down and see if we can come up with a happy medium. And it's an exercise in frustration, because there's no happy medium. Like Brandy said, the money is there. They're just not allocating it where it needs to go, which is why it's so frustrating when, what was it somebody said on the thread? They said that the whole conversation was too complicated for now. They were going to have to punt it for a little while.
right.
They were not going to do this for the good of the people, which is like, what people are you talking about?
It's not fucking complicated. Like, this is what's killing me. We keep getting put off, and we keep getting put off, and we can't be put off anymore. They've played these fucking games with us where they're like, oh, let's bring all the stakeholders together and reach an agreement. And they do it over and over, and we keep getting fucked. And they're making record profits every fucking quarter.
Right.
At what point do we make this whole? We have to take a full-on stance, and we got to go at them full force and pass things that are full-on in their face. No, fuck you. We're shutting all this bullshit down. That's what we got to go for. We got to go full full shotgun blast to the face type legislation like we're trying to do. That's how you get, because when that gets pared down a little bit, it's still a full fucking shotgun blast to the face. We cannot compromise. We have to be relentless. There's no more compromise. They backed us against a wall.
So one of the things that I've heard I can't, maybe it was when Lauren and I were talking today. So one of the things that the PBMs have been able to get them to pull out of some of the bills relates to steering. And, you know, the steering side of it is really what is creating such a huge disparity in where the money is going.
Yep.
So, you know, we talk about so many times, like, the number one issue that has to be addressed is reimbursement. And the number two issue is the steering. Those are the two absolute non-negotiables. And
but now wait a minute. I saw 3 gentlemen last week in Washington D.C. under oath say they don't steer.
Yeah, right.
That was hilarious. They also said they pass on all the rebates, and then later that day got hit with a, what was it, 45 million?
In Illinois. Yep, that's right.
This is at the same time I'm trying to get, and as far as I know, none of my esteemed colleagues around here did the same thing. The state employees benefit program in Massachusetts, which covers all, you know, DPW and teachers and whatever have you, all state and town employees fall under that umbrella, is run by Caremark. And Caremark, twice a year, is making them call and opt out of mandatory mail order. Now, this is state employee, which there are thousands of, okay, if you count all of them between police and fire and teachers and, you know, everything else. There's thousands of employees, millions, if not billions, of drug spend dollars being shipped out of state to a big top 10 Fortune 500 company, rather than keeping all that money in state and creating jobs. Twice a year they have to opt out. Twice a year. They won't even opt out for the whole year. Twice a year they make them do it. That's steering, though, okay?
That's another reason why we need those records. We need to see what those contracts look like. And it's a plan that is funded by the state. We need to see what those look like, because that right there will just further support everything that we've been saying. You know, the money is completely different in that situation compared to a community retail pharmacy.
Of course. But wait, no, hold on. Now, the Caremark gentleman, also under oath in D.C., said Caremark pays independents more than they pay CVS stores. Under oath, he said that. I'm sure he's right.
Well, you know, that's probably true, but what, you know, so it's all semantics. So it's probably true. However,
right,
they're buying power, and what they buy things for is night and day different than what we buy things for. So they can afford to pay themselves less than they pay us.
I know,
because
but
they're paying us, and we're the wholesalers. Yeah. Like, we're the ones that are writing the paychecks for the wholesalers. It's not the chains.
I know, but look, we shop. I won't speak for everybody, but we shop really good at my store. We have, you know, open accounts everywhere. We shop on Esri. We shop on all the platforms. We find the best prices.
Same.
And here we are. Blue Cross of Massachusetts will pay me 90 cents for 90 tablets of amlodipine or atorvastatin. I'm getting a penny a pill and zero dispensing fee. I'm getting paid less than $1. And yet somehow they won't zero out their copays. They'll leave a 14-cent copay or some stupid shit.
But why don't they ask this in these hearings? Like, they ask these questions, and I'm like, you're asking the wrong questions. Could you just let us write the questions for you that you need to ask? Like, how do you think that a 20-cent dispensing fee is adequate? Better yet, 5 cents. Oh, even better on 90-day supply. We don't pay a dispensing fee. How does that make any sense? Like, there's no logic.
Right. But back to the guys down at Congress in D.C. When they had that hearing last week. I forget which one of them was grilling them about it. Which one of the Congress people? But it was one of the women, and she was talking to, I forget which one of the executives, and she flat out, I think it was the Caremark guy, and I don't know if she meant to say it on purpose or if she slipped, but she said something about him the day before meeting her in her office and having discussions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you catch that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second. This guy's testifying the next day under oath, and you're meeting with him privately the day before. What? You're setting the agenda? You're feeding him the questions? What? Since when?
Yeah.
Since when is that ethical?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then
They
you
do
know,
pretty
the
much
great-
whatever
I
they
think-
want.
I think it
Exactly.
was Fry. I think his name was Fry. When he turned, he looks at this table of the CEOs and he goes, I just don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't believe anything
Right.
you're saying. It was so great.
That was great.
And of
You're
course,
good.
everyone in pharmacy is like, they're lying.
I know that's what kills me is they're so obviously lying, and everyone's just like, "Oh, okay, I guess we can accept this," but they don't have to. They could really put the screws to them.
Oh, I immediately started sending out messages to the 3Ms and the G. I was like, what happens if you lie under oath in a congressional hearing? I'm like,
And it's
they are
demonstrably, full on demonstrably lying. There's got to be repercussions for that. And I know the lawmakers are pissed because a lot of times with all of these, they bring the stakeholders together, and you've got the PBMs and the insurers and all that, and they bring them together. And whenever you got a big industry like this, the lawmakers, when they're like, okay, we're going to grill you, we're going to get our political points in, and you're going to fix whatever. We're going to give you time to fix whatever because we don't want this big old fight. Just kind of fix what's going on, get your shit straight, and then everyone's going to be a little better, and then we'll come back. But instead, they all just doubled down and kept lying and lying. And now the lawmakers are pissed because they're making them look fucking stupid. And so now all the lawmakers are mad. That's why we've got this window where we can actually get shit done.
Yep.
And that's why we have to push everything that we can right now. And we can't, pussyfoot around about fucking any of it. That's why Greg's bill is important because it's coming in at the right time. And that's why we're going to push it. And we're going to push that. And I know a lot of people were concerned, the other bills that are marked up already, it'd take attention away from them. It's not going to fucking do that. It's going to bring attention to all these bills because we're going to get all these co-sponsors onto this bill. We're going to get pharmacists excited across the country because they're excited about this bill. We're going to get them involved and pushing. And whenever that happens, it's going to create a wave that pushes these other bills through because we need lawmakers to see that this matters, and we need lawmakers to see that if they get behind our agenda, we're going to support them in ways that PCMA and everyone else cannot, because we're not just normal people. We're pharmacists. We're community leaders. We're out there. Whenever we do something or we protest something, people pay attention to it. So we're going to create this movement. We're going to create this wave, and it's going to push these other bills through. And then Greg's bill, the Auchincloss bill, the Pharmacist Fight Back bill, it's going to back clean up because the PBMs are going to try to gut those other bills and they'll get their way on a few things. And then Greg's bill is going to come in and we're going to back clean up with it and address those tactics immediately because we've already got the groundwork laid. We have to be fucking smart. That's how we get this done.
I'm just going to step in real quick and say every time Jeremy says Greg's bill, you all hear Jake Auchincloss and Diana Harshbarger's bill,
Yes.
HR 9096, because they are the two that, I'm just going to say it, had the pair to actually introduce this bill and introduce it at, yes, a weird time right before, Congress has its recess and then comes back. But they did it. They know what they're doing. And it is going to be the next powerful wave of PBM reform because, as Jeremy just said, these bills that are there now, we needed those bills. We needed everything that's happened, as much as it sucked, as much time as it took. We needed Congress to get acclimated to the idea that you could introduce legislation that was going to put these PBMs somewhat in place and that they weren't going to blow up and die and it wasn't going to cost $10 trillion and all the stuff that these PBMs were saying. And once they got used to that and they started to see that it could be done, and with enough time passing, because Jeremy's right, they were there lying. I was watching that hearing and I was tweeting like a mad woman. I couldn't believe that lightning hadn't struck with all the lies that were coming out of their mouth. And at one point they were all like, we're transparent. We're completely transparent. We're completely transparent. And you could just see the faces of the Congress people like, yeah, we've heard this before for like 6 years and we know this is not true. I'm pretty proud of our federal lawmakers on this one. It's not often that, you get to say something like that, but I have watched over the years, they're all speaking like experts. They are throwing around language like experts, like we are, like they work in a pharmacy and they understand what's going on. And when James Comer at the end was like, well, I'm just going to take a moment to say I'm disappointed because we asked some questions and you didn't answer them.
Yeah.
So I guess we're back where we started and we're just going to have to do something about this. And I promise you, in the halls of Congress, there are whispers right now going on about how do they unwind some of these mergers? Because you piss off, you walk into the halls of Congress, you think you can lie like they've been doing for the last several years. They send a new round of suckers every time. And it's always some new group of people that are like, we can just not answer these questions and spin. And right about now, these committees are like, no, we're not going to answer a question. Fine. You don't answer the question. You answer to us later on down the line. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. There's not a lot that I can point to, at the federal level and be like, yeah, they're doing a good job. But this is the one where I'm like, I think they're doing a good job. I think it's hard.
It was much better than I thought it was going to be. And you could tell, like, they were feeling the pressure and they realized, like, they were in some shit they weren't expecting. Little gremlin looking fuck. What was his name? I don't remember his goddamn name. Little gremlin looking fuck. He looked like he was going to fucking hyperventilate there for a while when he just kept repeating the same answer because he knew he was in some shit. And I don't think they really prepared him for that.
Auchincloss starts with his thing, which, by the way, has had over 7 million views. And David Joyner, oh my gosh, it could not have been better. He's like, is it $16? Is it $5,000 or is it $19,000? He's like, 16. He's like, funny you should say that. That was so good. And like David Joyner's face is just like, oh my God. And then the next question comes and he's like, well, if it's true cost,
if it's true cost, then it would be the lower one. Like, he was just like, come on.
Wasn't that the Optum guy, the dude that has actually been arrested for DUI and had kids in the back? That guy?
Yeah.
He was so bullied at the end that he actually said what his compensation was. The other two were like, we'll get back to you on that. Like they had no idea what their compensation was. And then second time around, he still admitted his compensation. The other two were like, we're still not going to say anything because we're little pussy bitches and we don't want to say anything in front of all these people. Like nobody would know that you can look up their pay. Like, let me guess.
See, the thing is you can't. I tried looking it up. I had to dive into I dived into their SEC reports, and they weren't in it. They chose all three of those people because they didn't have any compensation that was reported because they weren't like the top 5. I dove into that because Steve Moore texted me, and he's like, do we have compensation? All I could find was stock that I think it was Joyner sold. No, it wasn't even Joyner. It was the guy from Optum.
Yeah.
It was a guy from Optum. He had sold some stock. That's the only thing I could find. And it was like $5 million's worth of stock.
So
they hired.
They're so down on the org chart then that it's not even reported at the SEC is what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still high up. They're still high paid. But yeah, they selected them because you could not look up their compensation.
Wow.
You know what's great is you've got Comer and Raskin basically sitting up there just making fun of those guys. They're like, how much do you make? And he's like, $174,000. And so he's like, and how much do you make? And then he's like, well, half of it's a pension and half of it's bonus. And he's like, okay. He's like, but no more than $174,000. And Raskin's like, 174,000 for me too. He's like, but you guys can't tell us how much you made. It was so good. Like they're just up there just like these idiots.
Yeah. Well, they are idiots and they brought it on themselves, you know. I mean, sorry, but if you decide you're going to work at a corporation, steal people's souls for a living, you know, you bring it on.
I mean,
yourself.
it's just greed. It got to the point where they were greedy and they've been able to get away with anything for so long and say whatever and everyone would believe them because they controlled all the data and all the information and they would just make up metrics and people would believe them. They got away with that for so long. They thought that they could just say whatever they wanted. They still think that. That's why they have all these bullshit campaigns that they think is going to actually work. They still think that they can do that. They don't quite understand that everyone's caught on because they've had it made for a long time, but we're coming.
Yeah.
Hey, so, you know, Ike Brandon, you know, Real Clear Markets, like he's like their number one op-ed author, whatever.
Yeah.
So he does his usual BS in Real Clear Markets. Well, Doug replied directly to his op-ed, and Real Clear Markets actually published it. It's fantastic.
Oh, really? Oh, I'm going to read that.
Like refuting what Ike Brandon said about the interim report. Oh, it's so good. I was like, I can't believe they actually published that. I was so impressed.
That's awesome.
So now we know we can just submit to Real Clear Markets too and refute all the BS that they put in there because that's where they always publish it is in Real Clear Market.
Okay, making a note. Reply to Real Clear Markets. Did you guys see that CVS white paper where they blamed Ann Cassidy for our pins?
Yeah.
I know that was ridiculous.
I mean,
give us credit for our fucking pins.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Anne because I'm like, she wouldn't do that. Like, what? Like, why would you be trying to sully the diplomatic name of NCPA? Like, that was us.
Yeah. Like, they're the nice ones. We're the ones that do that shit. At least give us credit for it. We try really hard.
Yeah. I was just shocked that our pins are actually branded. It actually does have our web address on there. Like, how dumb do you have to be to?
But it was so great. They actually like quoted the pin and had to do like the asterisk. It was so awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, we totally made the CVS white paper.
That was a high point for my advocacy career. Our trolling made it into a big old PBM report on how mean we are.
That's like a throwback to one of the original Putt Summits that came out of the Austin Putt Summit. Those pins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right. That's right.
Bag it, right?
Fun anniversary. Yeah. Illinois.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
we had been texting and we had taken the Illinois Google group offline and had a core group of owners that were texting all the time. And we had a first official meetup at the Putt Summit. And it was like, okay, well, how can we distinguish ourselves and, make everyone know that we're from Illinois, even though Illinois hadn't really done anything yet on PBM reform. They had just passed the Licensure and Registration Act. And so we went. Dave Baggett had huge, like 5-inch buttons. Huge. And so we all he like put them on the table. He's like, all right, anyone sitting at our table can have one. And so the Illinois group and Deb sat at our table. And so everyone's like, oh my gosh, I love those. That's perfect.
Here, I'll show you guys. Here's a vintage PBM reform pin. I don't know if you can see that. That is like probably 10 years old. This predates anything that happened in 2016.
Wow.
And sitting in the Putt stuff, I'm not sure it was ours, but I mean, from that to the finger pin that we now do, we've come a long way.
Yeah. We've come a long way in just a year or two.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, actually, now that we said, I think this is like symbolic of why things don't work. Like you see the nice little pill bottle and the money, and it says reform PBMs and all that. It's just so nice, but nobody remembers nice. So
No, they don't.
Right.
But they remember Jeremy.
I have a feeling they're going to remember Massachusetts starting in just a few months. I was really proud.
Fuck yeah, they are. I love those Massachusetts pharmacists because all of y'all up there, you all are aggressive and you think and you're political as hell. That's like, I love talking to you all, especially whenever you're coming in and it's just like, no, fuck this. Like Joe, you and Mark and Mike, holy shit, like you all get it and you all understand, like it's balls to the wall.
Okay, did you no, but it's true. They are like that. I mean, they are like the original not nice guys, and you know, I think we need so much more of that. Lauren, how would you characterize Illinois? I mean, now that you brought it up, because I remember when everybody came from Illinois to that summit. It was so great to see everybody, and everybody was really friendly. But what would you say, like, what's Illinois like today as compared to a few years ago?
Oh my gosh, even just a couple years ago, we've gotten a lot. So Dave Falk really started the Get Loud campaign. He, as most of the listeners know, is not a pharmacist, but he has been a pharmacy owner for decades, and he really helped push that loud advocacy message. He really helps get pharmacy owners to step in front of the counter, engage with customers on the advocacy side, because they want to help you. They come to your store for a reason. They want to help you. So Dave really had the mantra of get loud. And I think that has been beneficial to a lot of the...
Shout out Dave Falk. We love that man.
Oh, yeah. With his White Claw mixer.
That's right.
Dave
Falk special. Dave Falk special.
You know, I'm going to give a shout out to Garth today. He was the only head of state pharmacy associations that actually went out there today. He's the only one I saw. Who else was there?
Oh my gosh, who was it? Was it Michigan? There was another one.
I must have missed that they were the head of Michigan. Well, that's 2 out of 50. Where the fuck is everyone else?
Exactly.
You got little old Jeremy in his office at his fucking pharmacy in the middle of the day giving these fucking remarks to the FTC. Where's the fucking heads of our state organizations?
I'm just going to take a moment to say Arizona is still hiring one. So although, you know, I represent the Arizona Independent Pharmacy Coalition, which is not a state association, but we don't have one.
Full on. I was talking about how much I like the Massachusetts pharmacists because you all are aggressive. You're politically savvy. And when you and Mark and Mike were talking, you all fucking get it. And you know that we've got to have pressure and we've got to do all these things.
The problem is the majority of the rest of them don't want to go aggressive. They want to build those relationships.
No.
They want to be playing nice and having fundraisers.
How has that worked out so far?
Fucking sucks.
We can't play that game because we don't have the money that the PBMs have, that the MCOs have. We don't have that money. We can't fight a traditional war against them. They have more resources than us.
Man, I went back and like these same two guys, I'm like, I'm going through my history of my bank account. I'm like, didn't I just donate to this sumbitch not that long ago? Yeah. And it turns out twice a year they're having fundraiser for the same bastard. Like, for what? We've been having fundraisers for I don't know how many years, good part of a decade. And we refile the same fucking bills, which have to be completely rewritten because half of them are like moot points at this point.
Right.
Okay. They're like outdated and don't really make sense anymore. And we file these bills in so many different ways. They used to, or in Massachusetts, before I got more involved, they used to file everything they wanted under one bill. And it would get bumped because somebody would have something against one part or another, okay, of what they put into the bill, which, you know, I don't know why they were all so gung-ho about having prescribing rights for birth control. I'm like,
that'll save pharmacy.
That's the concern. I'm like that's the concern. We won't even get paid for it, but we want to have the prescribing rights. Okay. Anyway, I finally convinced them after, you know, like 3 legislative sessions in a row, 2-year sessions of not getting anything done. I'm like, how about we go this another way? You have those 5 points you've got lumped in one bill, and, you know, there's always going to be somebody who doesn't like one of them, right? And so they tear down the bill. Like, file them separately. What's going to be their excuse? Then if they still don't pass it, then you can go after them. Hey, what's the problem with paying us that instead of the MCO? What's the problem with, doing giving us access to specialty drugs? What's the problem with this? You can pick at them one by one instead of, it's the lump sum. And we're still not getting anywhere. It's now 2 legislative sessions.
So I'm going to tell you right now, take your money out of fundraisers and donating to politicians and throw it into social media campaigns and advocacy, and you'll see where a real ROI is. Start doing that shit, and you'll get way more results, because giving them the money, they'll just take it and smile and fill you full of bullshit. They're not on our fucking side. They never have been.
Need that much money for a social media campaign.
You can do a lot with it, though. That's what I'm saying. You can pump it into advocacy. You can pump it into getting your own grassroots groups up and going and pressuring people. You can pump it into a lot of things that are better than supporting a politician that isn't going to actually do anything for you. There's a lot of things you can do with that money that can get your message out there and can put pressure in places that you would be surprised.
Well,
I just can't get people on board. I got too many people who just want to stay the course and keep pressuring because we finally got some movement. We finally got some traction. That's the worst thing that can happen to you sometimes, is for them to give you hope and then trip you up when you get to the finish line. Because then you think you were doing it right. But
Oh, we know what that's like, don't we, crew?
So in other words, whenever we're opening the dictionary, we're going to see their pictures also right next to the definition of insanity, because it ain't working.
I will say this, though. So in defense of some state legislators, because we always have a panel every year at the PUT Summit where there are true pharmacy champions who are there.
Yeah, there are.
Or Katrina Jackson's. This year, Liz Stefanik's made her premiere. She's from New Mexico. In the past, we've had David Knight from Georgia, James Skoufis from New York, who's got this really the famous Skoufis report, which did a full-on investigation and uncovered the degree of graft in New York. And where that comes from is actually the relationship with pharmacists. But there's a difference between, as Joe described it, you have a fundraiser, you have your relationships, there's that, right? And then there's the urgency that you develop that relationship. There's this, I think, this mistaken idea that relationships develop over time. You go to their kids' birthday parties, they go to your kids' birthday parties, or something like that. And that's not the case. You can have a legislator in your store, and you can be like, the house is on fire. You have to do something, right? It's possible to do that. It's just, there's no set formula, right? So I think the thing that's really frustrating in Massachusetts is you guys have John Lawn, right? And I would argue that he's a champion, or a kind of champion, semi-champion.
Yes. I mean, he gets it, and he's supportive and all that. Yes.
Okay. So he's kind of, I would say he's probably
my issue
champion,
with not just him, with any of them that are supposedly on our side, quote unquote. For me, the person I would put the title champion on, friend, supporter, whatever, I would have to have that person out there in the media all the time, speaking about it, pressuring fellow legislators to back him up and back the bills, be out there actually putting that pressure on our behalf, not just making us do all the work. You filed the bill, but that's kind of your job anyway. You know what I mean? You filed file the damn bill. Yeah. But getting that bill all the way through, now we're talking. That's a different scenario.
Yeah, it's funny because you guys have Jake Auchincloss. Now, you don't have, I would say, maybe you don't have that champion. I think you're right about that.
Right.
But you have Jake Auchincloss, right? And he said something at our summit, really off the cuff, but I was actually very impressed by this. So I was talking to him, thank you so much, and you've learned so much, and you've really taken this on. And I don't know, it's kind of pointing to this is no small feat to understand PBMs and all the bullshit complexity and everything. And he came back with, well, I really appreciate that. That's really kind, but it's kind of my job to understand this for people. He wasn't like, oh, I'm so special. I wrote a bill. He was like, this is my job. I fight for the little guy. And, and I think that if you don't have someone who's like, yeah, it's my job. I fight for the little guy. There aren't that many of them in the U.S., right? We had one in Arizona. She lost her election. I hope she comes back. No one's quite. We have someone who's she's developing into that. She's a nurse. I was really impressed with her grasp, given it's only been like 2 sessions. We don't have 5 sessions for this woman to get up to speed, though. We have to, move on that. And it's a hard thing to do because they've got so many other, groups with issues coming at them as well. But if you can find 1 or 2, and just like you said, they're talking to the media, they get it. And what they're getting isn't so much like it's called a DIR fee. What they're getting is like pharmacies are closing.
Yeah.
They're closing, and patients are being routed to mail order, and pharmacies are being unnecessarily hobbled by these contracts, which are bullshit contracts that are designed to make them fail. That's when you've got that champion who's like, I'm not gonna stand by you 1 more second. Like, this is stopping.
Unlike how some people testify under oath, once again, I'll go back to that.
Yeah, you all are lucky to have the Ock. He's awesome. Like, he's intelligent. You are lucky to have him. Like, that's.
I haven't met him personally. I don't know if he's gonna be in district. Maybe I'll pop into his office and say hello if I have time.
Are you guys having a round table with him or something?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's live or virtual.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, is it Auchincloss or Auchincloss? Because I've heard both at this point.
I know.
Yeah, I'm like, shit. Because people in the mass meeting were calling him Auchincloss, and I was like,
I don't know.
All I've ever heard was Auchincloss.
I don't know if anybody really knows. It's everybody's come up with their own way of saying it.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard him say it. So whenever he did that live,
the gentleman from Massachusetts.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm just going to call him the Ock.
Yeah, that works.
The Ock.
So
But it might be Osh, and you're totally saying it wrong.
Well, we're going to blame Greg for
Auchincloss.
that. Greg's the one who
Auchincloss.
introduced him. When I was first learning about him, I totally spelled his name completely wrong. I think I had it like O-C-K. I can't remember now. Here's a fun fact you guys don't know, I don't think. So Joe and his brother Mark have been long time members of HUD. And yes. And that, we have some members. We have a group. Joe, I don't know if you're like kind of in the charter group, like you were around when it was first formed in 2011, but no. Joe and Mark actually been around as members longer than I've been involved with HUD. They were one of the first people that I had the pleasure. I actually met
I didn't
Mark.
know that. That's awesome.
Yeah, soon after. We weren't there on day 1.
You guys have been amazing champions. Mark has always been there.
How many members are there from around here? We keep putting people up, but
less than 10 right now. I think actual PUT member. So PUT member is an actively donating member. So someone who's donating either monthly or quarterly or annually. And people sometimes get confused, like they'll make a one-time donation and they think they're members for life. They're friends. We call those our friends, PUT friends. But there's probably maybe 5
Hello,
or 6.
PUT friend.
Yeah, hello, PUT friend.
Hello, PUT friend.
We like our members. Our members are what keep us alive and working, because I think people don't always realize, I hope they do, but they don't always realize that it's a tax deductible donation. So when you're donating monthly, that's however you want to write it off, you get to, but that is a 100% investment in education advocacy for what we've been doing. It's what keeps us able to, have Jeremy be commented to the FTC, have Brandy be tracking down pharmacy closures in every state, and doing this on their own time as pharmacy owners, right?
People, please, bring us more members. I'm out here. We're all out here just grinding. I'm tired. Jeremy's sleepy. I'm doing a lot. I need some help. Fuck.
Or let me put it a different way. Yes. Let me just say, if you want to be part of the cool club, you want to be part of PUT. I mean, you can be part of any of the organizations, and you should. We always say, be a member of your state organization. Be a member of NCPA. We want that for you. But if you really want to get stuff done, you want to be part of PUT because you're going to get stuff done. We are not going to let you get away with not getting stuff done as a member of PUT. So
I have to be careful what I say next year. So,
so it's just
drink more.
Yes, there you go. What are you drinking, Joe? I am drinking a hazy IPA. So 4 Roses. So Jeremy, he's part of the bourbon club with us.
Nice.
Great.
I was doing my black barrel earlier of Jameson.
Not you. No.
My beautiful, beautiful people over here got for me for my birthday.
Oh, that's it. Nice.
Nice.
Yep, I saved it. I've only drank it on our podcast so far, and I just finished it.
How sweet.
So it lasts 1.5 podcasts.
Wasn't your birthday 2 months ago?
No, it's in July.
A month ago.
Well, we're now in August. I was thinking,
Yeah.
Joe put together a great chart on how drugs get priced that we are going to take, and we're going to spruce it up, and we're going to brand it. We're going to put it out there.
Nice.
Yeah, Joe gets full credit for that. It'll be a great tool.
It wasn't about getting priced as much as the process of what happens when that prescription, especially for a brand name or anything really, but when you get a prescription now and we're in a situation where, you always have to watch the dollars. And so I started with 2 channels. Did it lose money or is it profitable or non-profitable? It's profitable, you fill and you're done. And then non-profitable, and then keeps breaking down into if then, whatever.
Oh, I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, it's good. He did a good job. And I've got
I
it
did the best
here.
I stayed up to like
We
1:30.
basically put down on
really
paper the thought process we go through every single day.
That's really good. That's going to be powerful.
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it
a
probably
great
needs to be
job, Joe.
tweaked. It probably needs to be tweaked. Again, this was at like 1 a.m. I'm like, I'm going to do this now when
and you can't sleep, and you're like, oh my God.
Hey, man, we'll tweak it. We'll flour it up or whatever. We'll get it ready for prime time. But that's a really good idea, showing the thought process, because a lot of people are like, oh, let's replace the pharmacist with AI and do all that. They have no fucking clue what we do all day.
No, it was more about how it's going to end up affecting the patient and how taxing it is on the system from just the pharmacy, the physicians, and the patients. Because when you're refusing to fill something because you're going to lose money on it, okay, when I get these GLPs, and I was talking with Mark today, we're probably going to have to cut off any new patients at this point because you're getting like 3, 4, 5 new patients a day that want to get a GLP, and it's like I had to order like 10 of them today between Wegovy and Zepbound and whatever, and I'm like, I can't fucking do this.
Optum Mail Order just announced that they were no longer doing them.
Oh, so Caremark announced that like a month or 2 ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
But like, so my point is you get these scripts and you're going to lose $100, $200 on a GLP most likely. And so then what happens, right? So you tell the patients, oh, it's back ordered, I can't get it. Now they have to go hunting around to find it, right? So now they've wasted your time for a bit, but now they have to waste a whole ton of time because they're going to call 20 pharmacies and they're probably going to get the same no answer everywhere. So then what? Then now they're going to go back to the doctor and be like, oh, I can't get the medicine you prescribed. Now the doctor's office has to waste more of their fucking time dealing with this problem. Okay. Oh, okay. We ordered you Zepbound. Why don't you try to find some Wegovy instead? Well, guess what? You're not going to get Wegovy either. Okay. So now you're going to waste more time. I had a colleague tell me the other day that there's now companies, and he spoke to one who was calling his pharmacy, that patients pay $50 for the service, and they make all the calls to all the pharmacies.
That's why I'm getting those calls.
Is that who's fucking calling me?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Like calls from like I was like a call from like Wisconsin or something. I was
California,
like,
Arizona, Florida. I get it from all over the place. And I immediately say, nope, back ordered, and I click. I don't even talk. I don't even listen. I know it's a service, right? But now I found out that they're getting paid to do this by the patients who are trying to locate it. But they say, oh, I'm calling from the provider's office. No, you fucking aren't. You're calling from freaking Alabama. I'm in Massachusetts. What business you got calling up here? What provider are you servicing up here?
Oh, Joe, you shouldn't have told me that. I am incredibly rude to solicitors on the phone unless they're like local and I know they're local. Yeah, they get full on fuck offs and hang ups from me. Like I don't mess around with them. I'm on a lot of lists, I'm sure. I actually, it's got to the point where one particular, like, I guess third party vendor, they send their new people to call me, and I think I'm like a hazing type guy for them.
You're the
Survive
practice
it,
run.
they can keep the job. If they cry, they have to leave. It's like a test.
But yeah, that was the gist of me making that chart, is to present it in a way to show how much time is being wasted, how much energy from everybody involved, and how basically at the end of the day, how another proof how broken the healthcare system is.
Yeah.
Because if we were just getting paid properly, you wouldn't have half the freaking problem. I'll put the shit on back order for everybody.
Yeah.
I'll put it on back order for everybody, and when it shows up, it shows up. But now I'm playing this cat and mouse game. Caremark is the only payer who I'm profitable for, and barely. I make $20, $25. And God forbid, they have a high copay or they're in deductible phase, because then I'm going to lose money because they're going to charge that $400 or $500 to their credit card, and now I've lost it all in credit card fees. And at the same time, it's fucked up my GCR from my wholesaler for the whole month. Now I got to play games and buy my brands and some generics everywhere else just so I could stay even and still get my rebate money or whatever.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
It's the amount of
we have a blockbuster drug that everyone wants, and we can't sell it. That's how fucked up the system is. This is a huge drug. Everyone should be making money. People want to buy it. We want to sell it.
Yeah.
No one can make money because everyone in the middle is making a fortune off of it, and they don't want us to have even a sliver of a piece.
I just heard today that it actually helps with infertility and Alzheimer's.
Wow.
Like, what?
I feel like that's also their marketing, though. I feel like they're like, yes, it cures cancer, it saves puppies, it does all the shit that you ever could want to do.
It was like an
internet article. Cars. It can do everything.
Yeah. Don't call it.
It's amazing because it's good for addiction too, which also tells you a lot about the obesity epidemic, because that tells you a lot about the underlying mechanisms of hunger. Yeah. And so it's this big blockbuster drug that solves a lot of problems, and no one can fucking get it.
Yeah. Well, and that, as you say,
it does make you, if you go down that rabbit hole, it makes you think about it. So these companies that are making these drugs know how much money they could be making. They could absolutely scale up their production processes. But if it's this great of a drug, they're not going to do that because it's going to affect their sales everywhere else. It's hurting the rest of their business. And so if we start curing people or making people actually healthier, then manufacturers and PBMs are all screwed.
See, that's also one thing why competition is really important, because if we had a lot more small drug makers and not so many of the larger drug makers that were out buying up all the small drug makers' ideas, with that competition, you would have people wanting to cure these things because they would have the big blockbuster drug and they're not relying on all these other drugs. So that's why competition is important across the board.
No, it's true.
And an actual market, a real goddamn market, which we do not have.
Not yet, anyway. I'm optimistic.
Not yet.
It's time. But I believe, I really do believe with us and with some of the other groups that are out there that are doing the work that they're doing, and I think it's going to fall to the smaller groups like that. I was not saying that the larger groups can't. They are definitely doing good work. But, if you notice, like, the movement's happening with smaller groups.
Yeah, but we're doing the best work. Let's not lie.
We're doing the best work.
We're doing the best work.
So the thing you call him Greg's bill, you were like, Greg's bill.
We've been calling it Greg's bill for like a year. Like, what am I supposed to do?
Right. Greg's bill. I think this is important because it points to like groups like PUD and groups like Greg's employer, APCI, right? They pay Greg, and Greg is the one who went up to Capitol Hill and started working on this 18 months ago. right? There was a lot of opportunity to start introducing bills that would get to the root of the problem, not addressing the end result of the problem. We do need to address the end result of the problem, but actually addressing the root of the problem. It took a smaller group to get up there and be like, we're gonna, push this until somebody takes it on. That's what I love about the small grassroots groups that are like us. Right? I think we do the best work. I really do.
Agreed.
But like Greg, you look at like the American pharmacies, advocacy and what they do at the state level. I mean, they got the omnibus bill in Michigan passed. Everyone was like, that's not going to happen. And, groups that should have weighed in favor of it, weighed in against it, but it still got passed. It's the small groups that make stuff happen.
Yeah. And people don't even understand all the shit that's going on in the background. They see like us out here doing like PBM on the rocks, but they don't see Lauren and everything that she's doing going to these hearings. They don't see Brandy, even though she's out there a lot. They don't see that she does triple the work in the background with all the data crunching and everything else she does. They don't see fucking Monique grinding her ass off every single day, fielding calls left and right. Half of them from me on bullshit. They don't see this. Like, we're working constantly. Like, it doesn't stop for us, and we're just going to keep doing it.
We eat, sleep, and breathe it, but that's the only way you can get something done.
Yeah, we're not normal.
And we have members. A lot of our members out there are, working really hard. I mean, we've got Sterling in North Carolina who,
Sterling's great.
Doing stuff. We've got the Daves in Illinois who've been doing stuff. We have some really great members that are working hard, and that's just the deal. Like, no one's out there like claiming credit. Nobody wants the credit. What they want is they want a system that works. They just want to be able to do their jobs. They want to be able to run their business.
That's it. Is it so much to ask?
I know. And that's the thing that kills me. I'm always like you don't see, this is true. I mean, it's not a trope, right? You don't see the baseball team with CVS Caremark on the back. You don't see that. The small pharmacies that, are open and there for their community, that know their patients, and they do know their patients, and they do know their community, and they do contribute to the tax base. It's not a lot to ask that they be allowed to do their jobs. And, I think that we have these members who that's what they're fighting for. And it's sad that they have to fight so hard for that. But they are, right? And, like Joe, it's like, after 9 o'clock, and, Joe worked all day, and Joe's been, along with all the other Massachusetts indies, he's been tracking last day of session, which last day of session was yesterday, but for some reason, last day of session has spilled over into today, August 1st.
That's Massachusetts for you. The Senate passed their healthcare bill last November. The House has been just screwing around until the last freaking minute, and then we're not gonna have time. It's too complicated. We can't get this done tonight. Come on, man. It's unrealistic to get it done in one night. You've had 8 fucking months.
Yeah, like, I'm not asking you to do a heart transplant in 30 minutes.
They do this every session too. They keep the stuff to the last minute just so they can use the excuse that, it's too complicated, it's too much work, we can't do that tonight. We gotta.
That just makes me so crazy. It always happens. Like, seriously?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's got to be at some level a function of what the opposition has done. Like, they've gone in and they've started talking about dollars and cents and spending, and even though the legislators have the information from our side, they're still like, I don't know, it's so confusing because they say it's going to cost money. It just tells us that next year we're going to send Jeremy up to Massachusetts, and once he gets done kicking ass and not taking names because he doesn't care about names.
I don't give 2 fucks.
Get this bill passed, right?
I know this person and this person. Do you know this person? I don't fucking care. I don't.
Right.
I will never care.
What have they done? What have they done for me?
Yes. I'm here to fight for the fucking
Joe,
pharmacies.
That is so my motto. I've said it so many times. Like, what have you done for me lately?
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I care about.
If you can't tell me, then I don't care.
That's what I keep telling them every time they come up with a fundraiser.
Because I got something that you need to do.
Yeah.
Every time they send out these fundraiser memos, I'm like, when are we going to hold them accountable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start fucking doing that. I tell you that.
How about performance review session?
Yeah. Oh my gosh! You know what? That would actually be a really, really good response to a donation request. Like,
just saying.
I'm happy to have a performance review with you at any time.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
We're going to raise our glasses.
I'm gonna raise a can.
As Monique says, we're coming to the end of our drinks. Cheers, you all. Joe, it has been a pleasure having you on, my friend.
Yes, yay, Joe.
Yeah, Joe, you have to come back again.
Yes.
I will.
For sure, come back. You were a blast.
Will do.
All right. This has been another episode of PBM on the Rocks. You all have a great one.
To learn more about Pharmacists United for Truth and Transparency and how you can help fight PBM abuse of our healthcare system, visit our website at truthrx.org.